I'm going to have to ask. We've run against our time limit. We got 2 minutes. We've got 2 minutes left here. I'm going to ask the first question, and just wanted to get a point across, which I think we did. Doing business in Saudi Arabia, you need human resources. That's one thing we didn't emphasize enough, but Saudi Arabia is investing a tremendous amount in developing a workforce. The latest statistics out are it's investing over $6 billion a year in the education of its citizens, over 200,000 citizens abroad. 50,000 of those are at U.S. universities pursuing undergraduate and graduate degrees. And I'm just going to ask a question to Fred here. You went from 40 to 100 people. Was that primarily an increase in the Saudi workforce, or was it a combination?
Our increase was...
I'm not sure how you turn it on. Here.
That's all right.
Okay.
Our increase was both as a result of our work in the GCC and the other Arab states, along with Saudi Arabia. The work that we had done, as if you remember, I said we had won 2 contracts and we have one that's imminently coming. A total of 3 employees is what we hired in Saudi Arabia. So we're a small company. We're starting small. We're looking big.
My name is Alex Alexandridis, and I'm a retired professor of international business at Georgia State University. My accent and my last name denotes that I am of Greek extraction. My mother country is Greece. We travel with 2 passports. This is the only country in the world that you can come from anywhere and feel like you are a citizen, you belong to it. But still, a mother country is the very touchy relationship that we have. And relationships has been one of the items discussed here. The importance of culture in business, the importance of relationship, networking, very, very important in view of the technology. But with Saudi Arabia, I go back in 1950 when I was a student at NYU and I was working for the UN. And the first ambassador of Saudi Arabia to the UN was Ambassador Baruti. The name is Dynamite, and he was a real dynamite at the UN at the time. And then I follow Saudi Arabia through other positions in terms of the defense. We had students here, including our own Omar Bakhlaiwai, who is one of our own here. We claim him as well as you do. But what I wanted to ask you, in all of this kind of relationship that we have with Saudi Arabia, those of us who have experienced what Saudi Arabia is all about, there is one area that pains us, and it does because it affects a part of our life which is very dear to us. I couldn't think of a more beautiful person in my life than my own mother or my sister. And yet, when it comes down to Saudi Arabia, our women in America are kind of disappointed. They don't understand the role of women in Saudi Arabia. They feel sometimes offended. And I wanted to ask you, can you give us an explanation to better understand, especially my friends here, what is the role of women in Saudi Arabia that it is so badly misunderstood in the West? Thank you.
I think I'll turn that over to Salah, if you would like to address that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you have a very good question. And we in Saudi Arabia believe in gradualism. Before we take any steps for women, as you know, the education system for women started in the 60s. And now we have educated women in university. And when you watch the developments in Saudi Arabia, you can see a gradual study for a very conservative society. And why it is gradual? Because we would like to make sure, especially the social issues need to be, you have all the requirements to be more successful. And I just give you an example. In Saudi Arabia, we have almost 50-50. The population is women and men. But students graduated from universities. For example, 2008, we have 126 girls graduated from university. But from boys graduated is 56 boys graduated from university. And now you can see there is some rights has been given for the women. Why we didn't give it before? Because as I told you, we just prepare, if our society is a new society, because education and is new for men and women. But this gradualism is very important for our society to maintain our traditions and to move ahead. Now I am in the parliaments. Our next session for parliaments, we will have new women in the parliaments. Now women, they can vote. They can, already they are voted in the Chamber of Commerce and the engineering societies and others. But my point is gradualism, where you can see improvements, and this is the nature of our society. And this gradualism just makes sure that the society continue homogeneous and make it smoothly, all the changes and developments to be smoothly. Again, education, we depend on education to improve not our economic, but also social side. And now we are sending our kids to maybe more than, I don't remember the countries, but it is in China, Korea, Japan, including United States here. We have huge, the number is 120,000 students. Most, I think the ratio is, should be the same, women, girls and boys. But what I can guarantee, our record shows that there is a gradual move to give more for women empowerment. And this is, with this trends, I will not be surprised that the Saudi women will, in a very short while, take a full ride for different activities.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Okay. Well, yes, we're going to have to wrap it real quick. Go ahead.
And I'd like to add to that, in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, we have the U.S. consulate. And we are having to move our U.S. consulate. We're having to close it down and build a new facility. We have 2 years to complete that project. The reason that we're having to do that is King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals is building a KFUPM women's university in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, which supports Salah's statement. Also, personally, within my own group, Tamimi Group, we're remodeling an entire floor in our office to accommodate women to work within our organization. So this is just a couple of examples of the steps to move forward with women in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, and I'm sorry, we're running into the reception time here, but what I'm going to offer to all of you, our names and our email addresses are in the brochures and the discs that you got out there. And that's one thing I know Dave and I are out here specifically, but I'm going to volunteer for the whole panel. Is we're out here as a resource base, so please run into us at the reception, at the dinners, ask us questions. We'll be happy to entertain all those questions. Finally, on the issue of women, I'm going to tell you that's another one of the great opportunities in Saudi Arabia. At Aramco, we have many women employed, very well educated, very smart, very productive, and there's a new base that's coming in gradually that's going to add to this other educated base I talked about. So I look at women in Saudi Arabia as a tremendous opportunity for any business. With that, thank you for your participation, your attendance, and we'll see you at the reception.
Thank you for joining us.